So magnesium is one. What else would you recommend people look at that you find they're habitually short of?
Well, I mean, I don't know whether you've heard the news. I very seldom listen to it, but I caught it in the car the other day that there's a shortage of HRT drugs. Have you
Okay.
heard that one?
No.
Apparently, the world's going mental. The government is stepping in because, oh my God, no more HRT drugs for a while because we're running out. It's become a distraction to the world because, yeah,
Yeah.
they like distractions.
Yeah.
So, and of course, it helps the pharmaceutical industry enormously.
Yeah.
It's fantastic advertising.
Yeah.
So, what should women be doing if they're having those symptoms known as menopause? The first thing they need to know is that the Japanese do not have a word for menopause.
That's interesting.
Why is that, you might ask? Well,
I'm thinking that question. Yeah.
It's because of the iodine. Now, it is traditional to eat seaweed all the time with everything, right? And seaweed is the food that contains the most iodine. It's virtually the only food that does contain iodine. That's where iodine comes from, the deterioration and the production of seaweed in the sea. It goes into the air, we breathe it. So our ancestors generally lived by water. There are a number of reasons for that. Obviously, there's always fish in the sea if there's nothing growing. And they were pretty healthy because of all the iodine in the air. So if you live on the coast, you're probably all right, assuming you open your windows and breathe. But for the rest of us who don't live near the sea, then we really, really need iodine. And if we don't have enough, our hormones go wrong. Iodine controls the thyroid, iodine controls the hormones. And if you haven't got enough of it, then you're in real trouble. So our ancestors had enough of it, even if they were living away from the sea. How did they do it? Well, they did it because they weren't hit with fluoride, chlorine, and bromine products that are in everything from fire retardant in the sofa to bread. Right? So everybody is smashed with a low iodine level in their body. Now, it gets very, very serious, particularly for women. If a woman is low on iodine, so really clinically low, so even the doctors recognize it, if they're pregnant, the child is likely to be born a cretin. Cretinism is severe mental retardation caused by iodine deficiency.
Wow.
So almost everybody's low on iodine, over 90%, I would surmise. So let's say a woman gives birth to a child and only a little bit low on iodine. What will happen, and this is totally scientifically based, is that the baby will have a low IQ. Brain function is critical to iodine sufficiency. So what are the symptoms of menopause? What to old people in general? They walk in a room and can't forget why they walked. They can't remember why they walked in, right? Poor memory, iodine deficiency. So with menopausal women, they get hot flushes. Why? Because the thyroid controls body temperature and iodine controls the thyroid. So Japanese women don't get hot flushes, or it's super rare. Maybe if they're eating a Western diet, they might. But assuming they're eating loads of fish, which also contains iodine, and seaweed, then they don't get hot flushes, right? 9 out of 10 women in England get hot flushes. 9 out of 10, as opposed to, let's say, 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
So what are the other sorts of symptoms? Well, women know them, right? Women know them. So all those symptoms, they can generally go away with just iodine, but it has to be the right type and the right amount, and you need the cofactors. The cofactors of iodine include selenium, the mineral selenium, which is in itself an incredible story of addicts, whether pharmaceutical, recreational, booze, whatever. Addicts get huge results if they take large doses of the right type of selenium for 3 days, maybe even less. However, back to the iodine story. If iodine doesn't fix the thyroid problem, And there are hundreds of, mainly women, again, on thyroid medications, L-thyroxine. They've been told, you'll need to take this drug for life. The pharmaceutical industry loves that. For life, forever. And then there's some extra ones in case of side effects. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And so in the old days, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, prior to L-thyroxine and drugs, they used to desiccate dry thyroid glands from animals and measure out the teeny tiniest bit and give it to their clients. And that would, a pig or something like that has a very similar thyroid to us. So you got a bit of desiccated pig thyroid, and that would, generally speaking, be HRT problem solved. Right? That and iodine alone hopefully would do it. And this idea is still totally current, just because doctors don't do it anymore. They used to, with 100 years of success. The version of iodine that I recommend is Lugols, Lugols, and a little 20 quid bottle will last you a year. So on the one hand, expensive drugs, on the other hand, 20 quid for a year, which makes more money for the industry. Let me think now.
Yeah, well, it's certainly, I use yours. I have done since we spoke last time. And I normally just put a few drops into the raw juice I make every day.
Right. I prefer to put it in water. And the reason is that iodine is very reactive.
Right.
Let's say you've got a glass of water with iodine in it, and you put in a teeny tiny pinch of vitamin C powder. Instantly, it would go from dark brown to clear. Instantly. Chemical reaction between iodine and vitamin C. So you want to take them separately.
Gotcha.
And so who knows what the chemical reactions with your fruit juice are. But some things it just doesn't matter. Magnesium, it's not going to matter. But iodine, being very reactive, just in water is probably better. Might be fine in the juice.
I'll take your lead on that one. That's fine. I'll make that change today. Thank you.
And the great news with the iodine is that people notice it quite often in days, or if not in weeks. One of the main ones, one that I noticed, was that if you took, let's say you're in a house with a cold marble floor, and you'd asked me to go barefoot, I probably might have said, do I really have to? Can't I keep my shoes on? After, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks or something, using the iodine, my temperature changed in my body, and I didn't mind walking on a cold floor. Just a few weeks ago, I hated it. It was really palpable. And the phrase that I hear when it works for people, particularly the older ones, is they say, it was like my brain fog lifted. If you think you've got brain fog, it's almost certainly an iodine deficiency. So simple. 6 to 8 weeks, and most people have had the result they're hoping for.
I did notice I've always been a clear thinker anyway, but the clarity of thought really, really lifted for me. It was really interesting. And it was noticeable as well. It wasn't just like I was thinking back. There was one day and I thought, okay, that's really interesting. Something's changed.
Yeah, exactly. I love it when people notice and notice quickly. I mean, the big one for noticing is magnesium. People often notice, if you take enough, they're likely to notice in 5 minutes or whatever it might be. Arthritis people, anybody with chronic pain, magnesium, they might need to do it for a while, but it can happen super quick. Vitamin C, I've had some people, again, it's all down to the dose and the frequency. I've had some people who've taken the right dose for them, and they've gone from walking, say, 100 meters and they're tired, to walking a mile and okay. I mean, it's just incredible. Our bodies are these wonderful self-repairing machines. And if only we were putting real food in. Now we have to supplement as well, but on the day we die, it shouldn't be from fibrosis or cancer or any of those things. It should be from, you overexerted yourself yesterday a bit, maybe, whatever you enjoy doing, you did a bit too much of it and you fall asleep and don't wake up.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. You're right.